Today, we unravel the chilling story of Oba Chandler, a man whose heinous actions stunned the nation and left an indelible mark on the history of crime. Chandler's name became synonymous with terror in the early 1990s when his crimes were finally brought to light. What started as a seemingly innocent life turned into one of the most horrifying cases of deceit, betrayal, and murder. Stay with us as we delve into his life, his calculated acts of violence, and the relentless pursuit of justice that eventually put an end to his reign of terror. Oba Chandler was born on October 11, 1946, in Cincinnati, Ohio. His early life was marked by chaos and instability. Chandler's father committed suicide when Oba was just 10 years old, an event that reportedly left a profound impact on the young boy. Growing up in a dysfunctional environment, Chandler struggled to find a stable path, frequently getting involved in petty crimes during his teenage years. By the time he reached adulthood, Chandler had built up a criminal record that included burglary, robbery, and fraud. His early criminal behavior was a glimpse into what would later evolve into far more sinister deeds. As Chandler moved into his 30s and 40s, his crimes became more calculated and more dangerous. He often used his charm and persuasive personality to manipulate people, gaining their trust before exploiting them. He led a double life. On the surface, he was a family man with a wife and children, working as a maintenance man and selling aluminum siding. But beneath this facade lay a disturbed individual with dark impulses. His ability to present himself as an ordinary man was perhaps one of his most dangerous traits, allowing him to hide in plain sight. The turning point in Chandler's criminal career came in 1989 when he committed the brutal murders of the Rogers family, a mother and her two daughters from Ohio who were vacationing in Florida. Jo Rogers, along with her daughters Michelle and Christ, had traveled to Tampa to enjoy a vacation that was supposed to be filled with fun and relaxation. They met Chandler under the guise of seeking directions, a seemingly harmless encounter that would turn out to be their last. Chandler lured the family to his boat under the pretext of taking them on a sunset cruise. Once they were isolated on the water, his true intentions became horrifyingly clear. He overpowered the women, bound and gagged them with duct tape, and subjected them to unimaginable terror. The bodies of Jo, Michelle, and Christ were later discovered floating in Tampa Bay, their hands and feet tied, each weighted down with concrete blocks to ensure they would never be found. However, fate had other plans, and their bodies did resurface, sparking one of Florida's most intense murder investigations. The investigation into the Rogers family murders was extensive and involved multiple law enforcement agencies. Detectives faced a frustrating lack of leads in the beginning. It wasn't until a composite sketch based on a description of a suspicious man and a cryptic note left in the Rogers car that they began to piece together the puzzle. The note included directions to the boat dock where Chandler lured the women, written in his own handwriting, which would later become a key piece of evidence. It took over 2 years of meticulous police work and the widespread distribution of the suspect's sketch before they received the breakthrough they desperately needed. In 1992, a tip came in that linked Oba Chandler to the crime, citing similarities between the sketch and Chandler's known appearance. Police compared his handwriting to the note found in the victim's car and discovered a match. This connection, along with evidence from his boat and witness testimonies, led to Chandler's arrest. Chandler's trial began in 1994 and quickly became a media spectacle. The prosecution built a strong case, presenting evidence that meticulously linked Chandler to the crime scene, the victims, and the boat where the murders took place. One of the most compelling pieces of evidence was Chandler's own confession to another inmate, where he allegedly bragged about how he murdered the women to teach them a lesson. The defense, however, tried to portray Chandler as a scapegoat, claiming that the evidence was circumstantial and that the police were under pressure to close a high-profile case. Despite his defense team's efforts to cast doubt on the evidence, the jury was unconvinced. After deliberating for less than 2 hours, they returned a guilty verdict. Chandler was sentenced to death, a decision that was met with a sense of relief by the victims' families and the public alike. The brutality of his crimes and his lack of remorse made it clear that Chandler posed a severe threat to society. After his conviction, Oba Chandler was placed on Florida's death row. He remained unrepentant, never fully admitting to his crimes, and maintained a cold and detached demeanor throughout his time in prison. His appeals were consistently denied, with courts reaffirming the original verdict and sentence. He spent nearly 2 decades on death row, where he rarely spoke about his case and showed no signs of remorse for his actions. On November 15, 2011, Oba Chandler was executed by lethal injection at the Florida State Prison. Even in his final moments, he chose not to make any last statements or offer any apologies to the victims' families. His silence spoke volumes about his lack of empathy and the darkness that fueled his crimes. The execution marked the end of a long chapter of fear and uncertainty, providing a small measure of closure to the families of Joe, Michelle, and Chris Rogers, as well as to the community that had been haunted by this case for years. The case of Oba Chandler left a lasting impact on both the victims' families and the world of criminal justice. It highlighted the importance of forensic evidence, the determination of law enforcement, and the power of persistence in solving even the most challenging of cases. Chandler's story also served as a grim reminder of the hidden dangers that can lurk behind a friendly smile or a seemingly harmless offer of help. It reminded the public to be vigilant and cautious, especially when it comes to trusting strangers. Oba Chandler's life serves as a cautionary tale of how someone can walk the line between normalcy and depravity, hiding in plain sight while committing heinous acts. His story is one of manipulation, deceit, and a complete lack of remorse. The Rogers family, who simply wanted to enjoy a peaceful vacation, fell victim to a man whose darkness knew no bounds. Their tragic end is a sobering reminder of the evil that can exist within seemingly ordinary individuals. As we reflect on the case of Oba Chandler, we recognize the resilience of those who seek justice, the relentless pursuit of the truth, and the importance of remembering the victims whose lives were taken too soon. This case serves as a testament to the strength of law enforcement, the impact of community support, and the unyielding belief that justice will always prevail. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the chilling case of Oba Chandler. If you found this exploration of one of Florida's most disturbing cases intriguing, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe for more deep dives into the minds of history's most notorious criminals.